Hi, I'm Angie Pontani, the burlesque superstar who has spent the last 20 years shimmying and shaking around the globe. I've performed in showrooms, ballrooms, small rooms, and big rooms, every room except a mushroom. Along the way, I've met some amazing people, and I'd like to introduce them to you. Together, we will pull back the curtain to reveal what really happens behind the glitter, feathers, and tassels. So join me for the bump and grind. My chat with today's guest could have been 4 hours long. She's done it all. A neo-burlesque pioneer, a Miss Exotic World winner, the subject of multiple documentaries, a fashion spread shot by Karl Lagerfield, tours all over the world. She's one of the most recognizable names in the business. And if you haven't guessed yet, I'm talking about the one and only Dirty Martini. And Dirty and I, we go way, way back. I'm talking jazz dance workshop in the 90s back. So, we had a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about on a regular day. And now not seeing each other for over 6 months, we really had a lot to talk about. And the great thing about chatting with Dirty is not only does she have a body of work that is epic and stories and adventures and all this amazing stuff that you want to hear, we could just talk about that for hours, right? But she's also a wealth of knowledge on all things burlesque, from the history, a razor-sharp memory of the neo-resurgence, scenes around the world. It goes on and on and on. So I was very excited to talk to the ever-fabulous Dirty Martini and expect a sequel episode here because I did not get to ask half the questions on my dirty list. Please enjoy a chat in quarantine with me and the legendary Dirty Martini. Dirty Martini, I am so thrilled to have you on the Bump and Grind today. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, we're doing this.
Yes, we are doing it. So, Dirty, we've known each other for a long time, and I was trying to think of the first time we met. And this is what I was like, this had to have been before Teaserama. I think we did a gig together. It was like at the Kit Kat Club or Shine. And it was like something with Amy Goodhart. It was from Dutch Wiseman's.
Well, right? I know I met you. I met you for sure through Amy Goodhart. And I remember because I was like, who are these brilliant dancers who love showbiz as much as I do? Because we all kind of came to New York City to be dancers or actors or whatever. A lot of us came from different backgrounds. Yeah. But I know you and me, we were like dancers through and through. And I remember hanging out I saw Amy Goodhart at a show through Mother, and it was a show that I was like totally devoted to, and she did this big showgirl routine at this space, and I was so blown away that I actually went backstage to be like, shake her by the shoulders and be like, who are you and why? Wow. I can't even imagine somebody doing that to me right now, but at the time she was like the only person. There were a few people doing that sort of thing, but at Mother, she was really stuck out to me as somebody who was such a showgirl, hand making her costumes, choreographing these big routines. And, and I know you worked with her, and I saw you guys performing together, and I was like, oh my God. And we went to a workshop, remember?
Oh my gosh, that's right.
We did some jazz dancing together.
That's right. Oh my gosh. It's all coming back to me now. That's crazy. This is over 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
That's amazing. Well, Amy was very formative for me.
Yeah, me too. Because she straddled the world of contemporary dance and drag. And Julie Atlas Muse is one of those too, that she was totally in that movement research scene. And I came to New York to be in that contemporary dance realm and kind of found showgirl stuff by accident.
Just going out at night? You were dancing in the serious dance world during the day and just hitting the town by night? Wow.
Yeah, and then finding the drag scene, Wigstock and Channel Z at the Pyramid Club with Linda Simpson, Lady Bunny, DJ Lena, was doing the most amazing drag at that time. And it just really threw me for a loop. And it was something I didn't understand that I could be a part of it at that time. I just was working somehow towards being a part of that world.
But did you, like, when you came here, your fellow Jersey girl, did you have, like, was that a sensibility? Did it appeal to you? Like, were you into drag queens when you were growing up? Like, was there an aesthetic that connected with you that, like, you could trace back to your youth and your inspirations?
You know, it's so funny that when I came to New York, really the drag scene surprised me so much. Like, I really thought, because at that time in New York, it was less about being Barbara Streisand or Diana Ross or something like that. And it was all this like kooky club kid stuff happening. And, you know, especially at those weird nights at Pyramid with Hattie Hathaway and, you know, Flotilla de Barge and like all that creativity going on. And, you know, Lady Bunny's Wigstock, of course. You know, I saw that creativity and I felt really like akin to it. And when I first saw my first like actual 1950s burlesque video, I was like, oh, that's like a mix of drag and being female and like sexual and kitschy at the same time. And that's why it made so much sense to me.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I also feel like, you know, because you have such a serious dance background, you train so much in ballet, you're doing contemporary. I feel like when you see this other world where you can utilize these skills so much, you can be on stage and you can be adored without all of the constraints that you have in like professional dance, especially ballet. Like, it's kind of like a liberation from that where you can still embrace all the things that you love from it, you know?
Well, in the 80s in New York, I felt like it was all about different shapes and sizes. Like, because the really cool innovators were using people they knew that were unusual types because they lived in New York. But once I moved to New York in the 90s, you know, the fly girls were the thing. You had to be like super fit. And if you were talking about downtown dance, you had to absolutely be comfortable like going upside down. Like doing a lot of handstands and stuff. And it wasn't me. I was like, it was too much pajamas, not enough showbiz. And so dancing in your pajamas, I was like, well, that's satisfying in a way. But, you know, there was a part of me that really wanted that Pina Bausch lifestyle.
So you go into the drag clubs, you're loving it, you're seeing Amy Goodhart. Were you scared of the drag queens? I was so petrified of the drag queens when I was like a little baby in the 90s. They scared the life out of me. I was terrified of them.
Well, you're so little, and those clubs were so small. Like, I remember seeing, I told Flotilla de Barge this too, that when she was dressed as a prison matron for something she did, and she was like coming at me, and she's so tall in her high heels and that prison outfit. And she, you know, of course she was like going from backstage to, you know, she had shit to do. So she looked mean.
Yeah.
You know how we are. We're like, this is showbiz. We got to get our shit together and do our thing. But when I started working with Pink Ink, I started touring and I started getting this sort of confidence in sort of being a performer, I guess, because, you know, when you start to tour with a group, as crazy as it is, or whatever you're doing, you start to make your living doing that stuff. And then you get more and more confidence.
What were the styles of shows that you would do with Pink Ink?
Well, we had this girl group called the Fortunettes, and we went to the first Teaserama.
Yes, I remember.
I got hired by accident, basically. I'd gotten a job at the Cupcake Cafe, like being a server. And I was like, finally, I got a job that looks like I can make some good tips. I was so psyched.
Yeah.
And then, I get this phone call. Hey, somebody's got pneumonia, and I think you'll fit into her costume. Can you go and meet these women? And I was like, oh, okay. So I go to their place in Soho, and I try on the costumes. And of course, being a graduate of dance, you know, for that many years, I could pick up the choreography really well. And so, you know, and I was a ham, so it fit perfect. So we had these big foam boobs, like kind of like a torpedo-shaped bra, only exaggerated, and padded out hips, which I don't need now, and these big giant wigs, like And I'm sure you've seen the Fortunettes at some gig together. I'm sure the Pontanis and the Fortunettes did something together.
Oh, I remember them very clearly.
In the wild, wild world of corporate parties that we used to do all the time.
I miss those. I actually miss those right now. Right now, I will do a corporate party. I would do anything.
I do not turn my nose up at a corporate party.
No,
it's a lot of work, and it's worth.
Yes.
You definitely need to charge more because, man, there's a lot of meetings when it comes to that stuff. But
yes,
but. That said, it's a lot of fun. I mean, the last one I did that I remember before the big crash and everything ended, and that was back in 2008, I think, I was making my full living doing this crazy stuff with the Fortunettes and their, large-scale puppetry shows and all of that stuff.
And she had all this fabric, like these fabricated backdrops and shapes and she would pop up with like some PVC pipe and like a piece of spandex, and it was like
full atmospheres. She would have the stage set. It was like if you took a circus tent and made it like secondary colors and turned it upside down. So it was like all walls, and then you put a show in it.
Crazy. But so I want to just rewind back. So then when did you become Dirty Martini? How did it go from Cupcake Cafe to Pink Ink to Dirty Martini?
Well, I kind of ran away with the circus with Pink Ink, and, I ended up doing this woman's role. Her name was Robbie, and she got pneumonia. And I guess life happened, and she just sort of never came back into the company, so I got her job. And I'm sorry for that for her, but I'm sure she went on to do bigger and better things. It was great for me because I was able to really, do some creative stuff. And we had an opportunity to make a show all together after all the touring happened. And I had been watching a lot of those weird videos, and I thought, God, that'd be so great to do that work, like a fan dance or shadow something. I mean, it's just because of all the shapes and sizes of women and all their different nationalities and how the kitsch was like a big factor in it. I thought, oh, that'd be a great thing to do. And it would also showcase my body in a way that people would kind of understand me a little bit more. Because going to, as you know, a contemporary dance audition, it's like they pick who fits into the costume, and it ain't this one over here, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's never a girl.
Discouraging.
It's never a girl with 52-inch hips.
No. And it's discouraging because you can do the work, but then after being in showbiz for so long, you just do figure out, like, it's who can fit the costume. It's who looks the bill. Like, that's really what's going to get the gig.
Either that or you pave your own way. And so that's what we did, that's what we had to do. And good Lord, did we find our family? It's so amazing.
It seriously exploded, and it's just so amazing to talk to everybody, and especially all of us who were around at that time. And it was kind of like everybody's continuum, like everything that everybody says, it's like, well, there wasn't really a place for us. So we just made a place, and we all just kind of timed together to make that happen. And who would have thought over 20 years later, you and I would be sitting here talking about what has become really like a worldwide movement with thousands and thousands of performers and spawned so much work and so many events. And
I like to call it a revolution. Because, I mean, I see it that way. I mean, I really saw it in myself, like what a revolution it made in my own personality and how I felt about myself. And I really see that in a lot of my students and a lot of my friends, that feeling of just like completely turning your life around and becoming a more joyous person. And I think
claiming your life, really, I think. A lot of it is just claiming it and putting it out there. And then that gives the other people the power to do that, which challenges the body standards of what the 90s were and the 2000s. It challenges everything. Beauty standards, gender roles. I think it's amazing.
That's a big one.
Didn't think I was doing that when I put on my first pair of eyelashes, I mean, it's...
I put on my first pair of pasties to go to Wigstock, and I wasn't in Wigstock. I was just like, a regular person just hanging out there. And that's how I learned to twirl tassels, because Wigstock was from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I was in my pasties the whole entire time. Ooh. Just running around, drinking, twirling tassels, learning tassel twirling.
I was going to ask you if
on the
you
street.
I mean, I knew you taught yourself, but how you learned, but that's a great way to learn.
Yeah. I had so much
cheering
time.
You on.
Oh my God. And I remember this one pervy guy. He was just like, could not take his eyes off my tits, and I don't blame him, but
yeah, they're mesmerizing
with the camera.
Oh, Jesus.
He must have thousands of photos of my breasts over the years of Woodstocks.
So when you first started performing, you're putting together the fan dances, the balloon act, and going out there. What was the response? How did the audience respond?
The most amazing thing, I guess, was just how much people were into it, and it still amazes me that people are so, after the show, they come up to me, and I try to go out after every show and sort of talk to strangers because I want to gauge who's there and what's going on. And I really feel like people just get so life changed, and for me, it gets a little bit boring because I'm like, oh my God, that same thing. Oh, you're so confident in your body. Oh, and I hear it so much. And it's, for 25 years of being confident in my body, after a while, you're like, yeah, get over it. Just go and fucking do the work, just do the work. Just turn yourself around. You don't have to hate yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, but completely. And there's many ways, right?
There is a revolutionary concept in that for people because of, feminism, I guess. Hashtag feminism.
Hashtag feminism. You were one of the first performers who started really doing the jet from New York to LA because you were out there and you were doing the Velvet Hammer, right? Didn't you go back and forth? And you talked about it a little bit.
They were friends.
The LA and the New York.
Yeah, because Kate Valentine came from LA and she had auditioned and had done she had her own show, The International Girls of the World. And she had auditioned for Velvet Hammer and got in, and then they all became friends. So when she moved to New York and were doing her shows, we were all at Red Vixen with Catherine Hurahan and David Marquis. And so, I already had met Tigger, Julie, Scotty the Blue Bunny, and a host of people at the Red Vixen. And we were performing kind of weekly, depending. Bonnie Dunn was there as well. And then I saw this woman who was doing these structured shows, more, kind of theatrical shows. And Raquel Sayan, Cuckoo Bijou, who was in the Va Va Voom Room, who was a singer, I was talking to her after the show and I was like, I really think I belong in the show. It's really crazy. She's like, yeah, you should. And we really hit it off. And she introduced me to Kate. And that's kind of how we became a part of the Va Va Voom Room. And because of her, we were the Velvet Hammer East. Mm-hmm. And then we started going back and forth to LA. And that's how we met Bob, actually. Because she was out there doing nightclub stuff. And it was not Rita, but Michelle. Michelle was like, oh, you must know my friends from New York then, if you do burlesque. Yeah, Michelle Carr.
Yeah.
She was like, you must know these girls because they were out at some nightclub. And she was like, no, I've never met them. So Bob called us each up one by one when we got back to New York and was like, would you like to be friends? And I was like,
so Bob.
I totally knew who she was. She was a big, big figure on the New York club scene. So, of course, it's like, yeah, I'll be your friend.
Oh, totally. Who would say no to Bob, to be friends with Bob? Come
right?
On. So when you put your dances together, do you mark out every step? Do you leave spaces for that interaction? How do you create a performance?
I've always wished that I'd be somebody that totally choreographed something.
It's ambitious.
But with burlesque, I've always felt the best situation is just leaving space to be me and to experience what's happening. And I guess it depends on the piece. My Patriot Act and Leda and the Swan are pretty choreographed. and they don't have that much room. But then there's pieces that I do. The more classic burlesque stuff most of the time is not as choreographed.
Do you feel like that has changed over time? I know, like, when I first started, I was a little bit more hardcore about my choreography, and I think it was because I was scared, and it all kind of dropped away. And now I just do my little marks where something is in the classic numbers. So I do have that room because I don't like being tied to choreography on stage. I think it takes you away from the audience and puts you inside of your head. But do you think your approach has changed over the years as you've gotten more comfortable and just know what's going on?
The really fun thing is now knowing myself so well on stage that if I had to improv something, it wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, it's always a big deal when you do something new for the first time. But now I'm like, okay, I have my things that I know I need to hit. The difference now is that, like, when I really want to make something different, when I feel inspired to make something that has a narrative or has just a different impetus than just, I know I want the skirt to come off like this, But now there's pieces that I have that, definitely need choreographing and they take a really long time. Like the Swan took me, I think, 10 years to make.
Well, you learned puppetry you're a puppeteer in the Swan. How did that come about? That turned into such a Titanic of numbers.
Well, I really always loved those half and half strips. And for me, it was like, what's her name? Natoma and Mr. Frederick. That one where it's the guy and he gives her the flowers and, he's half of her. He's got like a little puppet on her shoulder. And I've always loved her, that Natoma character of like the glamorous woman, like, being seduced by the guy. And I know that Sally Rand did a half and half Swan number, but I've only seen photos of it. I've never seen any kind of video of that. So when Basil Twist and I were talking about puppeteering and, he's always looking for something fun to do with friends, and Basil's like this incredible puppeteer who does like operas. He's did the Willy Wonka. He did the Oompa Loompas for Willy Wonka on Broadway. So he's crazy. Like he does amazing projects. I think his biggest one was recently he did Pacific Northwest Ballet's Nutcracker.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, so like 2 years ago at Christmas time, you'd see that there was a documentary out about how he works. And it's fascinating because he'll take like a little piece of fabric and be like, it's a mouse, meh, 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 and like this fabric comes to life with him. He's such a beautiful puppeteer. And we've been friends for a long time through the nightclub scene. So I said, there's this half and half thing that I've always wanted to discover. And so I brought him over to my house and we watched a few videos of half and half burlesque routines. And then we talked about Leda and the Swan. And at the time, it was that song, Blurred Lines.
Blurred Lines.
I know you want it, girl. I know you want it. And I was just like, that is so freaking gross. Like, who is this douchebag in those tight pants with all those women like all over him? It's gross. Like, what has become of this nation? Like, why are we like
going downhill from there? You can go back and talk to your previous self. Just warn them. It's going all downhill.
Oh my God. I think, awareness is really great though. I'm like, well, thank God that there's awareness now because good Lord, I was so mad when that came out and I'm like, that kind of date rapey stuff that's supposed to be cute and poppy. It's like, that's just disgusting. And so.
Oh, and the video was disgusting.
Yeah, it was gross. So I thought, Swan Lake, the the Swan puppet and the Leda and the Swan myth has always been used in history to be kind of erotic in literature and also in art. So I thought it would be a great burlesque number to have the swan be really rapey and like being Zeus and raping me. So that was really the impetus for that. And so that story, it took a really long time to figure it out and to make the puppet pretty and, but honestly, the first time I did it at a puppet parlor at here, it was like a December, it was right before Christmas, and I just threw it together, and I used that video to be like the basis of the number and took it from there.
Yeah, I think when you're working with a prop like that or just an element like that, I always, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, and it's going to be great, it's going to be great. But then when you really get on stage and try to activate everything, it presents a whole nother level of challenges, right? I mean, with a puppet, a rapey swan, that would be challenging.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first of all, I had to figure out who I was, and then I had to figure out who the swan was, and then we had to have a story together. So, and that's the thing about the narrative and like how fun that can be to develop that stuff. But it wasn't until I was with Cabaret New Burlesque in France. We had like a week of, it was like a week to put this new show together. And I took that entire week to not only rhinestone my costume, but to like get in front of a mirror and be like, okay, what is this? And like, how can I make this great? You know, and that week in France, it was like invaluable to the process of doing it after 5 years of like struggling with this act.
Yeah, I can't imagine. And then you've done it so much now, right? You toured it in that show, and then with every time, I'm sure it's just now it's like the back of your hand. And you know what, Dirty, when did you create the Patriot Act? I was thinking about that too, because I'm like, well, the Patriot Act, I feel like it's been a while, but I feel like it's more poignant now. I mean, its poignancy has increased.
Sadly, yes. It comes in and out of fashion. It was George Bush the second time.
That's what I thought, but then I was like, it couldn't possibly have been that long ago.
Yeah, unbelievably so. It was first developed as a part of when in New York there was the Republican National Convention in August.
I remember.
And August is kind of one of those times in New York where everybody leaves the city. It's like there's no theater going on, really. That August was crazy. There were all these shows going on, like super political shows. You know, Julie, I remember, did this piece where she was like shaving her vagina on an American flag. Like there was like all this crazy stuff going on because, I mean, we kind of don't remember what it was like, but at that time we really felt silenced.
I remember just being heartbroken, like just feeling so crushed and like helpless and desperate for him to be gone.
Yeah. And can you imagine? It's like he looks sane now.
Oh yeah,
comparatively.
We had a gig at Florent, and it was on election night, I think, or it was right. I think it was on election night, and I just remember we were like, "Oh, this did not go as planned." It was just devastating.
Mission not accomplished.
Mission not accomplished. God. History has repeated itself and doubled down. But so again, you're back in fashion, girl.
There you go. I mean, honestly, when Obama came into office, right after that, it felt like I couldn't do Patriot Act for a long time because we had a couple of years at least of, some real progress. It felt like, really the fact is like for a while we could just kind of relax and be like, hey, okay, now we can actually have a political discourse because things are going in the right direction.
Completely.
At least things seem a little sane.
No, happier days.
But then, then all the shit hit the fan.
And continues to.
And so now
speeds.
I can do Patriot Act again. Yeah. And there actually was a point where during Obama's time I could too, because people were very disillusioned by the way things were going with him. Because he was, let's face it, a centrist. So we could have that political discourse because we're America, and we could say, you know what, he's just not doing all that great.
Yeah. Well, we can look at one positive from what's happening now. It's you got your act back in the focus.
There you go.
So you innovate a lot of new acts and acts that are very unique and very Dirty Martini. So I read that you have the copyright on the Balloon Pop act.
I do.
That's amazing. I did not know that.
It's a theatrical copyright. It's written as a play. And the reason I did it was kind of for personal reasons, because I was feeling like, I don't know, it was a little while ago, and I just felt like I started to see burlesque becoming so mainstream. Like, I really started seeing so many people doing it. You know, that era where it was like, oh my God, there's people doing burlesque in New York that I don't even know, you know? And I felt like I was seeing the balloon dance done a lot, and I was seeing, since I had a lot of video up of it, I thought, I mean, it actually wasn't the video of me doing it, was different music, but the visual of it was up. And I just felt like, oh, yeah, I know I'm not the one who invented the balloon dance, but I'm definitely one who made it, you know, made it kind of succinct for this generation. So
absolutely, yeah.
So I felt like
Julie with her bubble,
yeah. For personally, I felt like it'll make me feel better to know that I have that copyright in place if I wanted to use it. And I think what it really was we were in Italy, and there was at the Naples Theater Festival, and started working with this woman who was a very famous comedian there. She would be called a vedette there. And she was pretty awesome. I really liked her. But she had pictures, apparently, of me all over her studio and the balloons, and I knew that she wanted to do something like that. So it occurred to me that if somebody more famous decided that they wanted to take that act and just do it, then I would have no recourse, and it would look like I'm imitating them.
Yeah.
That said, nobody wants to be the one, like with copyrights, you have to be the person to be like, cease and desist, like Dita with her martini glass. Yeah. You know, like, that's something that she has to do if she wants to keep a hold of it. So I am telling you, nobody wants to be the one that says you can't do a balloon dance.
No, certainly not. And it's a laborious process too, you know? I mean, it would take a lot to really follow it all the way through and close that up and pop those balloons.
Well, the fact is, it's a real pain in the ass, but you don't know that until you've done it.
Yeah. I feel like you speaking of a time in burlesque, which I think was probably like 2008, 2009, 2010, where I noticed I would start to see somebody doing a move, and I'd be like, oh, that's Miss Tickle's move.
Exactly,
you know?
Yeah.
Or, oh, that's Kitten DeVille. Oh, that's Dirty Martini. And it was like, I mean, I don't know if you would call it plagiarism or tribute moves that I think started to come out around that time, where new performers were maybe looking at us the way that we looked at the Something Weird videos. And they were like, oh, these are just burlesque moves.
Yeah, for
not
sure.
Not things that this group created.
Well, it was funny because Alessandro Casella from Rome, he said to me once, he's like, Dirty, I can't find any video of people doing balloon dances before you. And I was like, yeah, that's true. True story.
Yeah, completely. But I mean, I guess that's part of like the, you know, cross that you bear when you're part of that wave that is inspiring those below, that maybe because of YouTube and because of the accessibility of all our performances, like, they could see everybody's performance, you know, from this time and take from that whatever they want to take.
Well, yeah, I definitely feel like I've definitely come around on this subject too. And I think that kind of the more people doing things that are interesting, the better. And my thing is just to make it you know, like, make it something that doesn't look anything like something I do, you know? So yeah. I don't mind people doing a balloon dance as long as it isn't my balloon dance, you know? Or
yes,
my Patriot Act or my whatever.
Yeah. Now, I talked about this with Kitten DeVille a lot, and I think that our isolation back in like the 90s and the 2000s was almost a gift, because it forced us to really kind of just dig deep and be like, well, I can see that picture, but I wonder what move she was doing, you know? And we were able to kind of create things that were really unique to us, because I think sometimes inspiration can like sink in. What do you call it when you put a book on your head and you're supposed to read it? What is that? Like when you learn by... So what is
Osmosis.
Yes. So yes. Maybe people had burlesque osmosis. They would come to a show and see something and then be like, "Oh, I just invented this cool dance."
Well, I think that's natural too, especially when you're first starting out, is that you pull from different places and then, eventually you develop your own voice, but it takes a second to and I think that people should be allowed to have that process. The problem is if that person is like Katy Perry, so everything they're doing is seen and, if you're pulling, you have to be really careful about that stuff if you're very, very famous. But, if you're like in a nightclub in Manhattan, who cares? Do your thing. Learn however you can learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Seriously. Everybody has to kind of pay their dues. And it's true. When I first started solo, I was so influenced from what I did at Dutch Wiseman's, and my career, my style has evolved from that. But going back in time a little bit, I skipped over Exotic World with you. So you started going to Exotic World in 2000, 2001, really early.
Yeah.
What brought you out there?
I had heard a news story, I'm pretty sure, about Dixie and what was going on there. Because, she always had the press out there. She always had somebody doing a story and BBC or it was some newspaper or something. So I'm sure I saw something on it on TV. And Deborah Roth from Pink Ink and I happened to be in San Diego doing one of those big conferences for, corporate events. It was a big corporate event conference. And so we were like, hey, we should go out there. We should take a trip. We're almost there. San Diego, so close. So in those days you had to call up and be like, get directions and write them down.
Yes.
And so we actually talked to Dixie on the phone and got the directions and wrote them down and told her when we were going to be there and drove out. I drove in a gown with burlesque costume on underneath because I was crazy and I wanted to meet her so bad. And I really wanted her to know I was serious about burlesque. So I drove out in a gown and makeup.
Wow.
Not a blonde wig, but I had my hair did.
Yeah.
And we were almost there and we were going down that, desert road with the big mountains. And we rolled down the window and our directions flew out.
No!
Because, we couldn't miss that turn. We were on Route 66. And then you have to turn onto Wild Road and go 4 dirt roads. And then there's the arches, right? So we had to call her up. We stopped in, because we didn't have cell phones at that time either.
No.
We stopped in a truck stop and called her up and she was told us the directions again. But we eventually got there and apparently the press had been there the day before. So she wasn't fully done in her outfit and she apologized. We went in there and honked 3 times on the horn and she came out and she was like, oh, I'm just a mess because I don't have, she had a cute pantsuit on, she didn't have her hair
Dixie.
done. And she was like, oh, the press was here yesterday. I was too tired to get ready. And we're like, oh my God, of course, we just want to hang out with you for a little bit and get the tour. But she let me, I was going to do a number for her on the original stage. And this is not during, the Miss Exotic World pageant.
Just when you were there.
It was in the winter, which to me, coming from New York, was really nice out.
Yeah, for sure.
But for her, it was freezing cold out. And I was like, I want to strip on the stage. And then so Charlie tried his best, this Jenny Lee's husband, the cowboy singer who took care of that property. He tried his best to get the sound going and all that stuff. And he just couldn't make it happen because that place was such a mess. And so I was like, oh, we'll sing. So we sang the stripper and I danced to no music, to me singing. And she was like, oh, honey, you're such a beautiful dancer. She was so sweet.
She must have loved that.
It was crazy. I mean, to meet her and to get to chat with her about dance moves, for me, that was I was sure that she had the key to understanding why there was the same vocabulary in all of the burlesque that I saw on those videos. I mean, you know, some people did some things differently, but she told me that it was super competitive and that if you were like a feature, the house girls were not allowed to watch the feature because they would, you know, definitely steal the moves and steal the act. So they were told they needed to not watch it. But it would happen all the time and she was like, you better hope that you get the heck out of Dodge and do those moves in another city because, you know.
Catfight.
Not just catfight, mob hit.
Oh, yes. Concrete shoes. Goodbye, Kitty Von Winkle.
Because some of those people were dating mobsters, so you got to be real careful.
They were living the lifestyle. So did you become just completely enamored with Dixie and you were like, I'm coming back, I'm competing in this pageant, I'm like jumping both feet into this must in the dust?
I was like, I just couldn't believe my luck to be able to travel there, to be able to scrape the cash together, because it was a big deal as a young dancer in New York with no money, no costumes to speak of. I went out there with my balloon routine in the high desert with the wind that started at 5 p.m., those desert winds, like blowing the balloons, like, I'll never forget it. It was so intense. But, you know, to be out there with all those women and all those crazy photographers and, you know, to hear the stories and to just soak it in was so amazing.
Is that you? Did you win with the balloon act? When did you win? In 2004?
In 2004, yeah. I went in 2002 was my first pageant.
But you won something in that too, right? Didn't you win a title in that one too?
Yeah, I won Best Tassel Twirl. Because we did this, you know, they had those like, but I was standing next to Indigo Blue, who was like the tassel queen, if you'll remember. Yeah. She had like the whole, I was so impressed with her and her. She had the Academy of Burlesque. She was like the first innovator.
Twirly girl. Oh yeah.
Twirly girl pasties, like entrepreneur out the wazoo.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I gotta show up this this Indigo Blue.
Move over.
And then Satan's Angel was the judge of that competition.
Oh, so Jesus.
She came up to me after and she was like, you know why you won? And I was like, please do tell. She said,
she's going to tell you anyway.
It's not because, exactly. It's not because I like you and you're my friend. She's like, it's because you twirl the tassels without moving the rest of your body. And she's like, that's how a pro does words.
Yeah, this is kind as Angel could muster.
She was so great. Oh my God.
Oh, I miss her.
She
was a firecracker.
I really miss her so much.
And just her voice.
Just to have her call me up randomly, you know, like that was such a treat. To be able to just pick up the phone while I'm like down with my family in Wilmington, Delaware. Like, oh, Wilmington, yeah, I worked Wilmington for 2 months.
Oh yeah.
Like, well,
hey, Dirty, how are you?
Well, I'm walking through the shopping mall with my family.
You're gonna write all this down in your book.
Oh goodness. Yeah, so it was the most amazing thing about the desert, though, to go out there was to see my fellow New Yorkers come out there, you know. And also, you know, I knew that Kitten DeVille had won Miss Exotic World, and that for me was like the first, like, that she was the first, like, real new burlesque icon to win Miss Exotic World. And then when I came out the next time, it was Aero Chica Bamboo came in and was like, give me that trophy. Thank you.
Gotta go.
And then Satan's Angel, because she's from Japan, Satan's Angel was like, and Japan had just had a financial crash. And they were having real trouble, like, being performers there. And Chica had told me how much she really loved being in the desert with us because there weren't any burlesque performers where she was from, and how exciting it was for her to like connect with us all and be a part of this family and be so accepted, being all the way from Japan. And then Satan's Angel says, she could take that trophy back to Japan and write her own ticket. Thinking like she was going to be like some celebrity or something.
Oh, still waiting for that ticket.
And I was like, oh, I knew. I was just like, well, how do you explain to Satan's angel that things are a little different now? You know, there's just, the economy was so much different in so many ways.
Yeah, and that network that they had built and worked and made so much money on no longer existed for us, you know, and at that point there was no real circuit for us to jump on board, let alone a viable one.
I mean, hell, even the feature dancing circuit was gone at that point, you know. By the 90s, it's like you couldn't make any money in a strip club anymore, you know, because they had figured out a way to make it all go to the club.
Well, I think historically the road we have chosen is not a simple one. But you, through the years, have stayed with the Exotic World Burlesque Hall of Fame, and you're on the board now.
Yeah, there was a time when, just the short story is that Dixie thought that it would be a good idea to have, you know, that she sent a letter, and it was one of those, it was a real tough time for, you know, she was losing her health and not able to do the things anymore, and things were changing, and the scene was becoming bigger. And one of the things that she had written in her letter was that she wanted to make sure Miss Exotic World was on the board. And so that was really the impetus for Deb calling me and asking me if I'd be interested in doing that. And I actually wrote Dixie, I hand wrote her a letter from where was I, in Norway at the time, because I loved, when Dixie was alive, I would, if I was in a fancy hotel, I'd always take the fancy stationery and I'd handwrite her a letter and send it from wherever I was. And then that gave her a chance to go, oh, my girls are just everywhere in the world, you know, and it made her feel so good that she felt like, and rightly so, that she had spawned this entire genre again. Like, she kept that torch alive for us. And so I wanted her to know for sure that we were doing burlesque everywhere, you know, and that it was really spreading. And so, yeah, so I wrote her a letter, and it was really when she was really sick. And I'm not sure that she ever got it, but I just asked her permission if she thought that that would be a good idea. And I never heard back, but I was like, you know what? I think it would be okay with Dixie. And
oh, absolutely. Dixie loved you. And that was definitely something that she wanted, you know, were some of the winners to be a part of the board, you know, to be represented, to have that performer spirit. Well, we have seen a lot of changes in burlesque. Are you happy with where it is now?
I mean, I couldn't even imagine what we have now as opposed to what it was when we started. Like, I had no idea. But the coolest thing, I don't know about you, I know you've traveled all over the world, but the coolest thing for me is that when I go to these places and I see the difference in the voices, you know, like the difference in the styles and what's going on all over the world with burlesque is so interesting.
So is there, if you could change, if there's something you want to see change in the community, or if there's something that you could change, would you change it?
Well, I just wish everybody would be a little bit, give each other the benefit of the doubt a little bit more. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's so hard to do what we do. You're constantly giving of yourself. You're constantly putting yourself out there naked, like in every sense of the word naked. Like there is no art form like what we do that really puts you on the line in the same way, you know, with the audience there. It's like Peter Berlin and the photographers, Robert Mapplethorpe and Peter Berlin did that in the way that they put themselves into their genre, but they didn't have the audience of people there at the time when they were shooting, you know, so that's something that it just takes so much to do what we do of our psyche that I wish that there was a little bit more kindness and openness to, because, I mean, it is such an amazing open field and lots of room for everyone. And I think that's something that when we all started out, we had a lot more of. We were all like, welcome to our backstage. You know, it was like, If you were different, that was like, thank goodness, and like, show us what you got, you know? And there still is quite a bit of that, but I think that once people kind of knew what burlesque was and knew that there were different categories, and, you know, it just got a little bit like, you know, who's stealing what, and, you know, who's doing something they shouldn't, and all that. And I'm glad for the dialogue, and I'm glad everybody's so open about talking about things, because that's very important to have a dialogue. But yeah, I just wish that there was a little bit more like, yeah, maybe she did do her research and maybe made that choice, and maybe we could have a conversation about that.
Mm-hmm. So Karl Lagerfeld, you got called to go to France. You shot it in France, right? For V Magazine in the House of Chanel, this amazingly beautiful photo spread. What were you doing when that phone call came in?
Well, 2010 was a hell of a year. Let me tell you, it was much better than 2020. It was my birthday was coming up. I was sitting at my computer and I started I'm like, who are these people calling me on my phone? And there's an email. What is going on? You know how those people are. They're like, I got to call her right now. I got to lock this down. So I had done an event with Lady Bunny, who'd asked me to do, I was the only bio-female in the show with a bunch of drag queens, amazing drag queens, like my heroes. And I ran there to do the show. I managed to get there and do it. And Andre Leon Talley was in the audience. It was like fashions. It was like a crazy fashion thing. And it happened to be at the Box. It was that was where they had this party. And it was for V Magazine. So there was a book that came out from a model called Hunger. And it was all about her transition from being a regular size model to a plus size model, and back into a plus size from regular, and like her journey. And she had lunch with Stephen Gahn of G Magazine and V Magazine. And he was just so amazed to find out that women had a tough time finding clothes. Oh boy. Never occurred to him, a very thin fashion boy, that women might have a hard time finding ready to wear. And so he decided to do the size issue. And unbeknownst to me, I was just called up to do it. And I was like, the only thing I had on the calendar was we were going to do Jen Capet's show out in Connecticut at that pizza place.
Oh, God. I remember those.
And so I remember how fun it was to call her up and be like, Jen, I'm really sorry, but I got to go shoot for Lagerfeld at Chanel. She was like, yeah, I bet I can let you go for that.
Yeah, not going to hold it against you.
So it was, of course, I asked them, so what's the budget? And they laughed at me. And they were like, only $50,000 in free publicity. And I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But they asked me to bring like 3 suitcases full of costumes, all my David Quinn costumes. They sent me amazing, like they've gone through my Facebook and like picked out all the outfits they wanted me to bring. And I ended up wearing lingerie from Fifi Coach Chanel, what's her name? Whatever, different lingerie brands. And I don't know, the stylist had everything sort of laid out for me. And it was nighttime when I went to the Chanel Atelier. He was shooting some other movie during the day. And then at 10 o'clock, it was my time to shine.
Oh, wow.
So he was working into the wee hours. It was like a pet project for him, and he was the photographer. But when he met me I was all dressed up like Dirty Martini. I was not going to go there looking like, regular. Yes. So even though I had makeup and hair and everything there for me, I was like walking down the hallway being like, I can't believe I'm at Chanel. And then he turns the corner with this group of really hot models, like male models. And he just throws his hands open and he's like screams, Dirty Martini, our star of the evening. I'm so happy you're here, and gave me a big hug. And I was just like, what is happening? Like, I couldn't believe my life.
That's such an amazing welcome, though.
Yeah, he knew who I was. He was psyched to have me there. You know, and the pictures that we used, like one of the photos was one of the last photos where I was like thanking him from the bottom of my heart and bowing to everybody because I was just so thankful to have that experience. Because everybody who works for the House of Chanel is the top of their game. Like, there was nobody jockeying for position. There was nobody. They were all just having the time of their lives. And that to me was really eye-opening, to be able to watch the top fashion designer, like, just have a good time.
Yeah. Well, and I think that joy comes across in those pictures, because pictures are so amazing, you know?
I was out of my mind excited to be on that staircase where Chanel walked down.
That staircase was gorgeous.
I'm sure she was flipping.
Working that staircase.
Flipping in her grave.
She was loving it.
But the fact was that, you know, Lagerfeld saw the movie Tournée that I was in with a bunch of burlesque people from all over the U.S. And, you know, he really loved the spirit of it. He was into it 100%. And became my fan in a way. Like, my friends would send me videos of him talking about me on weird TV shows in Austria.
That's so cool.
He's like, everybody should have Dirty Martini's confidence. That was like his thing.
Yeah, and he captured it in the picture, because your confidence does jump off stage, and it also jumps off the magazine picture, and that's like a challenge. How long did you have from when they called you till you went to France? Yeah,
it was about a couple days, I guess. It wasn't that long, maybe a week. I didn't care. I didn't know. Yeah. I was just like, baby.
I always feel like, and I feel like this is a message for the youngsters, like the biggest opportunities come with the shortest like time to prepare for them. So it's like, I feel like you do this, like you're always ready. You're always ready to work. Like you're just a suitcase zip away from being able to report out the door and report to duty, like for duty. So not to wait until the opportunity comes to you, but be ready for the opportunities when they arrive.
Well, that's the main thing, to have everything sort of prepared for you. So whatever you got to do, if you got to do your photo shoots, like take your acting classes, do your own YouTube thing, like whatever you have to do to prepare for that moment when somebody is like, hey, it's all about you right now, because eventually it will happen. I mean, there's people like Kitty Hartle, who created the Cabaret New Burlesque. She just went to Teaserama and was like, that one, and that one, those I want in my show. And then, it was even before I was on the internet, before I had email. And so I remember Kitty Diggins calling me up and being like, you better respond to this Kitty Hartle, or she's going to take you out of the show. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, oh, you don't have email? And I was like, no, call her right now. So I was like on tour with the Sex Workers Art Show tour in a phone booth, calling up. And I've done that so many times, like just calling up. Yeah, I'm in. Or, oh shit, totally. I'm on tour right now and I can't do, Terry Mugler's Just for Laughs show. Like he had asked me to do that show, but I couldn't do it because I was on tour.
Oh. But you were ready. If you were on tour, you would have been ready.
I would be jumping on that plane, going to Montreal.
You would have been there.
Packing my clown nose and ready for Cirque du Soleil's.
Toot, toot. Let's go. Well, we're going to have to do a Dirty Martini interview part 2, because we didn't even really get into Cabaret New Burlesque that much, or Tournée, or the Dita tours, or all that. So we're going to have to do a part 2. But, well, and I wanted to talk about the Zarita number 2, because that's my favorite, but we're going to do a part 2. So everybody stay in tuned for the sequel.
Well, there's just so much to talk about, Angie Pontani.
There is, girl.
So many years.
I wish we were at a bar with a cocktail, but, next time. But, all right, so this is my last question for you, Dirty. 40 years from now, when Dr. Lucky is teaching her class at NYU and they get to the Dirty Martini section of her burlesque handbook, what does it say? What's
the
your
future
legacy?
Is now.
Yeah. Wear a mask. burlesque.
Right? No, I feel like I think it's going to be so much of won't be so much about me as it will be the amalgam of what we all created. You know, it's like this new burlesque push, this revolution. It has so much to do with you and so much to do with Julie and Tigger and Scotty and, you know, all the amazing people that are innovating still. You know,
and they're going to have their own chapters.
And
they're going to have their own chapters, and they're going to answer this question also. But for now, what does your chapter say? You're not getting off. They're all going to get their own chapter. Everybody is answering this question. What does yours say?
I feel like, I don't know, one thing I like is that someone called me the burlesque performer's burlesque performer. And I really feel that that's true. Like, in so many ways, the world of, I mean, I feel like a Tex Guinan as compared to Mae West, you know? I feel like that's my lot in life, to be that, that kind of not quite ready for prime time figure who just kept the party going.
Well, you are a burlesque performer, and I will say this is my one thing that I knew I loved you from early on, and speaks to your spirit and speaks to being a burlesque performer. We've done a lot of shows together where you've done the Zarita act, which has the big spider web and everything, and I've seen you tell so many terrified little stage kittens who are just like, you know, ruffling their feathers just that they're talking to you, and they're so scared because they have to be the gloves that go through to do the act, and they're just like sweating and they're scared and they're terrified, and your way that you always speak to them is so sincere to your personality and why you're, you know, the burlesque performers, but you're like, it's okay, you're fine, don't worry about it, you can't mess it up, and like you put them at ease, and they can't mess it up because you would never mess it up, you know, because you're so professional and you know what you're doing on stage. But I was always just so touched by the way that you have that interaction. And I've seen you have it with many people who are terrified and intimidated. And I think that just speaks to your kindness.
I started to give little spider paraphernalia, like a little brooch or earrings or something, to all the people who've done my spider act arms, because there's so much a part of it. Like, nobody has better arms than Julie Atlas Muse, because she's not afraid to get in there and grab my ass and juggle it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but what I tell people, especially those scared, sometimes gay, who have no idea how to touch a woman's body, no inclination to touch a boob except out of curiosity, you know, and what I say is that you have to be the audience. Like, your arms are what the audience wants to do to me. So it's so sexual and fucked up, you know. It's like, it really has to look like something the audience
it's a lot of pressure
wants to do,
but you deliver it in such a good way. It's like,
you got to get in there and juggle that boob.
Yep. Dirty, thank you so much for being on the Bump and Grind with me tonight. I love you. I miss you.
I love you. It's my absolute pleasure to talk to you. It's so good to see you.
Now that was a chat. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in to another episode of The Bump and Grind. Be sure to go and show Miss Martini some love on Instagram at Dirty Martini NYC. And if you don't know them, be sure to thrill up your Google search bar by looking up some of the fellow pioneers that we talked about today, like Julie Atlas Muse, Tigger, Miss Astrid, and the world-famous Bob. Until next time, you keep bumping and I'll keep grinding. And don't forget, follow us, subscribe, do whatever it is you need to do to keep in touch wherever you listen to your podcast, and leave a good review. Because let's face it, in a socially distanced pandemic, follows, reviews, subscribing, that's the equivalent to applause. So give it to me, baby.
This has been a Giant Panda King production. You can find us at giantpandaking.com and on Instagram at giantpandaking.